Sophie Bennett, a calm and intelligent woman, finds herself ambushed by her husband's family, accused of infidelity through fabricated photographs. What they don't know is that Sophie has been aware of her husband's affair for months. Each photo they present as evidence is actually part of her master plan, meetings with top lawyers, carefully staged to appear scandalous. Through strategic preparation, she exposes the entire family's financial fraud, forcing them into legal defeat. Months later, Sophie rises stronger, emotionally and financially independent, turning her pain into empowerment by helping other women protect themselves from betrayal. The story isn't about revenge, it's about rebirth through intelligence and composure. The photographs glistened under the dining room light, their glossy surfaces catching every shimmer from the chandelier above. Amanda laid them out slowly, like a magician revealing her final trick. "Care to explain these, Sophie?" she asked, her voice too sweet, her smile too sharp. Sophie's heart thudded once, then steadied. The mahogany table between them reflected everyone's faces, her husband David's tight jaw, Eleanor's trembling hand clutching her pearls, George looking anywhere but at her. In another life, Sophie would have crumbled under that collective gaze. But not tonight. Amanda leaned forward, her perfume heavy, her tone dripping with satisfaction. "While David was working late nights, you were busy." Sophie's eyes drifted over the photos, her smiling over coffee, hand brushing an arm, her expression soft and open. She'd posed them all intentionally. The camera angle had been predictable. She'd even chosen flattering lighting. 8 years of loyalty, Eleanor whispered, her voice trembling. "And this is how you repay us?" The room smelled faintly of wine and expensive hypocrisy. David still hadn't looked up. His silence confirmed everything. Amanda crossed her arms. "You don't even deny it?" Sophie took a sip of water, her movements precise. "Why would I?" Amanda blinked. "Excuse me." Sophie reached into her bag and set a sleek tablet on the table. The screen reflected Amanda's face, self-righteous, expectant. "Those men," Sophie said softly, "are divorce lawyers." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the grandfather clock seemed to hesitate. Sophie pointed one manicured finger toward each photograph. James Morrison. Family law. Michael Turner. Infidelity cases. William Parker specializes in asset concealment. Amanda's breath hitched. Eleanor's hand froze midair. David's glass stopped halfway to his lips. "I met them all," Sophie continued, "after I found out about David and Jessica." Amanda's face drained of color. The room's balance shifted, control slipping through her fingers. "Lies," Amanda hissed, but her voice had lost its edge. Sophie tapped the tablet, the screen coming alive with digital documents. Signed consultations. Dated emails. Payment receipts. The wonderful thing about legal meetings, there's always a paper trail. Her calm was unnerving. Every second of silence was an indictment. Finally, Sophie looked directly at her husband. "Did your father ever tell you why he made you sign those papers last month?" David frowned. "He said it was for routine family business." Sophie's smile was small, almost kind. "It wasn't. It was to hide assets before the divorce." The color drained from Eleanor's cheeks. George shifted uneasily. Amanda sat back, wordless for the first time that night. Sophie rose, smoothing her dress. "Next time, Amanda, hire a better investigator. One that doesn't work for both sides." As she walked out, her heels clicked against the floor, calm, rhythmic, victorious. At the door, she turned back. "And thank you for the evidence." Sophie's car door closed with a satisfying thud. Her hands trembled briefly before she steadied them on the steering wheel. 8 years. 8 years of dinners, holidays, sacrifices, all dismissed in an evening of orchestrated humiliation. Her phone buzzed. "Amanda, you can't do this to us. We're family." Family. The word burned. She locked her phone and started the car. By the next morning, the storm had begun. Texts from David. Calls from Eleanor. A string of voicemails that alternated between apology and threat. She ignored them all. Instead, she met James Morrison, the lawyer from the photographs, in his sunlit office. The space smelled of leather and quiet authority. "You were right to prepare early," James said, flipping through the files. "They've been moving assets for months." "I figured," Sophie replied. Her tone was detached, but her eyes glistened. "They never thought I'd notice." "Your calm unnerves them," James said with a hint of admiration. "Good," Sophie whispered. "Let them wonder what else I know." Over the next few days, Sophie built her case like a mosaic: emails, bank statements, audio recordings. Every fragment was a weapon. At night, she'd sit alone, the city lights flickering outside her apartment. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she laughed softly, bitterly, at how predictable betrayal had been. She wasn't heartless, just done being helpless. The conference room gleamed. Polished glass, heavy silence. David entered first with his lawyer, eyes downcast. Eleanor followed, clutching George's arm. Amanda was last, pretending confidence, her lipstick too bright, her hands unsteady. James greeted them professionally. "Shall we begin?" The meeting unfolded like theater. Sophie watched them squirm as evidence stacked, one document, one recording at a time. Then came the property transfers. Eleanor gasped. George's jaw tightened. David's lawyer began to sweat. "This is slander," Amanda snapped. "You can't, actually," Sophie interrupted gently. "We can." She slid forward another folder. Signed agreements. Dates. Amounts. Corresponding withdrawals. Amanda's voice cracked. "You recorded us?" Sophie tilted her head. "No. Jessica did." The room went utterly still. Her husband's mistress had become her ally. David turned pale. Eleanor whispered something about betrayal, irony heavy in the air. James leaned forward. "We have two options: proceed with criminal fraud charges or reach an immediate civil settlement." The family erupted in chaos. Through it all, Sophie sat still, composed, silent, and terrifyingly certain. David's lawyer returned, eyes dull. "We'll settle." Amanda's lips trembled. "You think you've won?" Sophie smiled faintly. "I never needed to win. I just needed to stop losing." The papers were signed. Outside, the autumn air bit against her skin. For the first time in months, she could breathe. Her phone buzzed again. "Jessica, it's done." "Thank you." Sophie smiled. Betrayal had birthed an unlikely friendship. Back home, she poured a glass of wine. The city stretched beneath her window, alive, indifferent, free. She whispered to herself, "They thought they buried me. They didn't know I was a seed." Sunlight spilled across Sophie's balcony. Her laptop glowed with new client inquiries. The consulting firm she'd founded, Aurora Legal Wellness, had become a quiet revolution for women reclaiming their lives after betrayal. Her phone buzzed. "Jessica, saw Amanda today. Pretended not to know me." Sophie laughed softly. Let her pretend. Eleanor volunteered at charities now. George retired quietly. David, demoted, reputation shattered. Karma hadn't needed her help, it had exquisite timing. Sophie met her best friend Laura for lunch. "You've changed," Laura said. "You glow differently." "I finally stopped fighting for people who enjoyed watching me drown," Sophie replied. That night, Sophie stood by her window, the city lights flickering below. She thought of the girl she used to be, eager to please, desperate to belong. That version of herself had died the night Amanda laid those photographs down. In her place stood someone reborn. Her phone buzzed. A message from Eleanor. "I miss you. The family isn't the same without you." Sophie smiled sadly, pressed archive, and whispered, "Neither am I." Jessica arrived moments later, wine in hand. They toasted quietly, laughter breaking through the stillness. "To karma," Jessica said. "No," Sophie replied gently. "To peace." Outside, the city glowed, alive, endless, full of new beginnings. The final voiceover would read,